Good welcome and evening to the first mistake of the programme. In the news this week, the BBC's equal opportunities policy is criticised for going too far after a 3-foot cameraman is sent out to do a profile of Robin Cook. Following Tom King's enthusiastic work on the Nolan report, Tory MPs find an unexpected way to show their gratitude. And as Sky TV puts in a bid for next season's Premier League and NZ League football, the BBC says that it too has secured a new deal to cover top-level soccer action. On Ian Hislop's team is someone who is a football fan and a comedian, and to prove it, he supports West Bromwich Albion, Frank Skinner. And with Paul Merton tonight, the team captain on the forthcoming Dutch version of Have I Got News For You, described in an Amsterdam paper as the best circumcised comedian in Holland, and tonight hopefully he'll prove it, the comedian part, that is, Raoul Hertscher. Let's swing low into this week's opening film round. Ian and Frank, what's all this about?
Yeah, this is Mrs. Whitehead.
It is.
That's who this is. Who was out with her husband driving, and he was driving, and he hit a motorbike or something. And because he did lots of other things in his time, she thought it'd be better if she claimed she was driving. So she lied.
Which is a terrible mistake, because she pretended to be her husband. But if she'd said she was Sebastian Coe, she'd have got off scot-free.
The audience look very blue on this show. I've never noticed. You can't tell when you watch it on the telly. It's like being at a bloody Smurf convention.
No, there was a huge protest. The whole country said, we're not having middle-class people put in jail. Quite right, too, so they were let out. And they were very annoyed, the police, because this woman had made up the stuff on her witness statements. And that's the police's job.
After the court case, the Whitehead's children were told that their mother and father had gone on holiday. Not that they believed it. After all, offenders only get sent on holiday if they get high on crack and ram raid the nearest Dixons. Paul and Raoul, the main story of the week for you.
Finally I know something. This is Holland. Dit is de Algemeen Ouderenverbond. Dit is de oudere partij. Hij is eruit geflikkerd volgens mij.
That's right.
En hier hebben ze even een vergadering, maar deze worden er ook allemaal uitgeflikkerd. Well, that's about it.
Yeah.
I think...
It's not absolutely what I've got on the card, I have to confess. I think the first words were correct. If it's the name of the Old Age Pensioners Party, what was it?
Ja, de oudere partij.
Yes, the Old Age Pensioners Party.
There's a pensioners party in Holland. Is there one over here? No.
Not as far as I'm aware.
I went to one once.
Yeah?
To get off with anyone?
Yeah, so what
do
are
they win? Do they win, these pensioners?
No, they're nearly won, but the problem is they're really old, so the leadership changes all the time, so nobody knows.
Yes, it is, as I'm sure everyone guessed. It is the story of the new Dutch Old Age Pensioners Party, which is rife with splits, rifts, feuds and factions. The main feud is between former party leader Kees van Wingerden and his younger replacement, Mrs. Jet Nipples. Mrs.
Naples.
I'm sorry?
Naples. It's not funny, but it is.
No, it isn't. Ruins the next 9 jokes.
Sorry, yeah.
See nipples and die you were about to do, weren't you?
Unfortunately not, otherwise it would have probably gone rather well. Ian and Frank, it's your turn now.
It's Blake with a handkerchief. Oh, that's in his handkerchief, I presume. Bugs on cocaine. Oh, look, he's actually having cocaine there.
That white line on the floor, does that mean a square has been murdered?
Well, I think this is sick building syndrome. And they've said today, is there a report out or something? I don't know why it's topical.
Well, you're sort of supposed to be telling me, but yes, there is.
There's a report
a
out,
government report,
as you so rightly say.
So
looking into it, and some people think it's bugs, And some people think it's blowing your nose that does it. Going into work, blow your nose, feel terrible all day. I've not a clue. What is this about?
Isn't he right?
Yes, it is a new government report identifying something called sick building syndrome. One building in Merseyside is said to have caused epidemics of asthma, dry skin, colds and headaches among the employees working there, although on the plus side it is the headquarters of the Inland Revenue. Paul and Raoul.
Ah, this is the thing with the operation, isn't it?
Oh yes, yeah, the bottle there, yeah, yes.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, this is like the apparently I heard in England there's a long waiting list with operations. So if you go into a plane, then you get help right away.
Yeah. If you're feeling ill, get on the plane.
No.
But is this woman who knocked over a motorbike or was involved in a motorcycle accident in Hong Kong and thought she'd broken her arm and then was on the plane and sort of suffered breathing problems?
Not Mrs. Whitehead again, is he?
No, sadly
She claimed
not.
she was driving the plane.
Yeah.
But she was pretty lucky. Can you imagine an ordinary flight? They say, oh God, there isn't a doctor here. Yes, I'm an orthopaedic surgeon, and look, there's a houseman. Good. It's an amazing coincidence.
In the case of I'm a Blue Peter presenter, you've got a wire coat hanger, that'll do you. I can make an advent wreath, I should be able to do this all right.
The operation with a wire coat hanger took 2 hours in total, 30 minutes of surgery, preceded by 90 minutes of untangling the coat hanger from 6 others. And if Mrs. Dixon has any complaints about her operation, I'm sure British Airways will send someone round immediately to beat the shit out of it. Which medical capers mark an end to this initial examination, and the results so far are that the teams are like the audience of a Cliff Richard concert, all square at 4-all. And so to the endlessly movable feast that is round 2. This week we feature those unerring barometers of the nation's tastes, opinion polls, as we introduce Play Your Cards Wrong. Each player gets 6 cards denoting 6 statistics from a recent survey. The aim, as in Pontoon, is to keep on turning over cards to score as close to 21 as possible. The player who gets the highest total without going bust wins 4 points at the end of the round. Paul, your recent survey concerns the percentage of women who would like a hot date with the following people: Hugh Grant, Kenneth Branagh, Tony Blair, Ryan Giggs, Richard Gere and John Major.
So I have... He looks like he's been to Amsterdam, doesn't he? John Major.
Okay, let's see.
This is family fortune, isn't it?
So 3%, I'll stick.
Oh, can I tell you a fact?
Have you ever played Pontoon?
Yeah, I have. I'll stick with that. Yeah. All right, okay then. Tony Blair.
You can do if you wanted. Exactly the same.
Well, for the sake of it, then I'll pick Kenneth Branagh.
5%.
Well, I get 13 in Pontoon. I can change my hand, can't I? So I'll have 3 new celebrities, please.
Although you have actually only got 11, unfortunately.
Well, I'll stick anyway.
You're going to stick on 11?
Yes, please.
Controversial. Richard Gere scored 30%. It would have been even higher, but gerbils were ineligible to vote. The 3% that voted for John Major, incidentally, are said to be responding well now and sitting up taking light refreshment. Frank, you're next. Frank's opinion poll reveals what activities the great British public enjoy most. So what percentage of people enjoy the following: ironing, washing up, having sex for the first time, going to the chiropodists, beating people up, and discussing the cost of living.
Well, I think the thing is to go low, isn't it, on
time.
this? I imagine talking about the cost of living.
People like doing that.
Do they?
Yeah.
More than having sex for the first time?
Yeah. Having sex for the first time, terribly dull. Cost of living, pretty interesting.
It's funny because when I had sex for the first time, I found myself discussing the cost of living. Because I thought 10 quid was a bit expensive. I'd go for that. Discussing the cost of living.
Discussing the cost of living. Okay, let's see how many people enjoyed discussing the cost of living, and it's 39%.
I told you, you're completely out of touch with the people of this country.
You know, this is true, I saw Family Fortunes once. You know when two people get up and they have to hit the buzzer to say, and he says, right, you're going to name a person whose existence hasn't been proved, but who people still believe in. And they went, and a woman said, Hitler. And it was Bob Moncas, and he said, no, I think he did exist. Right? And this old woman who's standing there went, and he said, yes, and she said, a driving licence. And she was answering from the earlier round. She'd been thinking about it for 10 minutes. Poor lamb.
Yes, it is astonishing how stupid some people can be, but I would remind you that you've just got 39%. So on to Raoul now with an international survey, Raoul.
Good.
Concerning how often couples from different countries touch each other in public per hour.
Per hour.
The nationality of couples that you have to choose from being Puerto Rican, American, British, French, Iranian, and of course Dutch.
In Britain they don't touch each other at all.
No, we never do, ever.
So are you going to go for Britain then?
I'm going to go for Britain, then I just get 1 point or something. That's okay, yeah.
Well, it depends how many.
Britain, I'll say Britain.
Okay, you've said Britain 4 times now. 5, thank you. So let's have a look. Good start.
Stick.
So twist or stick?
No, I'll go on.
Okay.
Yeah, got a good feeling now.
You're on a roll.
Nothing to do with me.
No.
As that statistic proves.
No. Iran, I think you're not allowed to touch each other, are you?
Cracking guesses so far.
People touch anyway. I think I should go for France.
Okay, reasonable.
Guess. Oh, national stereotypes going against.
Not sure about the French out there.
Controversial choice.
Oh, they don't touch that much.
Okay.
So you bust.
Yeah, you are bust in a fairly major way. And finally, in this round, Ian, a question of moral judgment for you.
Else bust?
No, Paul's stuck on 11, rather cowardly. What percentage of people are of the opinion that Prince Charles should be crowned king?
No one.
Will Carling should be sacked.
Yep, good.
Winston Churchill should receive £12 million from the lottery.
Obviously not.
Eric Cantona should be jailed.
Yep.
That Mrs Thatcher was right to attack John Major this week.
Yep.
And that Princess Diana should have a wet look hairstyle.
Not sure on that one. What's the lowest there? No one should think Charles should be king. That must be almost no one. Just him. One person. And he's not sure. I don't know.
Another startling impression.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Will Carling's filthy.
18. Oh. Now,
Yeah.
boys and girls.
Stick.
Should I stick at the...
Now, you've got 2 options here, Ian. You can either stick and win, or twist.
I'll twist, Angus.
Okay.
I'd like Winston Churchill, please.
Well, I would if I was you. Okay, let's see Winston Churchill. 21. Congratulations.
So, should I twist again?
No, don't.
No.
You've
Like I
obviously-
did last summer?
Chubby checker.
I'm sorry?
Is that the right answer? Chubby checker.
Not as far as I'm aware, no. Although he did record Let's Twist Again last summer. 4% of people thought Will Carling should be sacked. Not for his run-in with the rugby selectors, surprisingly, but for his commercials for Quorn. 3% of the
We've got a
population...
bit of pot and kettle there, haven't we, Angus?
Well, I don't advertise
Quorn.
Quorn.
Compared to some of the ones you've done. That one with the snake.
I like that.
All right,
I
this is
don't
Angus
remember being in
Dean.
that one.
Give us your money.
It's incredible, isn't it? Prince Charles, me. It's almost as if
I
I'm
can do
here.
Peter Lorre. You know, from Casablanca, Maltese Falcon.
How's it going?
Go on.
You despise me, don't you?
So the winner of that round was Ian with 21, and that means that his resultant 4 points means that the score now reads 8 points to 4 in Ian and Frank's favour. And so to the familiar, if often hostile territory, that is our odd one out round. Paul, your famous faces are Norma Early, John Rind, Fred Funk, and Geraldine Gromish.
That's impossible.
Is Geraldine Gromish the only one who's had an exclusion zone put around her by the United Nations?
Could be a dead circle.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I mean, let's assume the one at the bottom is a golf course. The woman lying down at the top, let's assume she was hit by a golf ball. Presumably the odd one out is the golfer because he's hit everybody else with a golf ball and they've gone into various stages of madness afterwards.
Fred Funk is the odd one out because he's the only one who's had a pair of shoes named after him.
Are they Fred you shoes?
They're Funk me shoes, that's all.
Is it Chubby Checker?
No.
Who's Chubby Checker?
So is it Fred?
Chubby Checker, let's twist again.
Chubby Checker.
Now let Ian tell you who Chubby Checker is.
Impression? You with me?
Ah, now I know, yeah.
Yeah,
It
he's
would
there.
never be as good as his Jimmy Somerville's anyway, so. which he's doing at the
Twist
moment.
again!
It's now turned into new faces, isn't it? What marks would you give for star quality? So am I right?
I'm going to give you one. There's one element that you're missing. It is that they were all struck by golf balls which had been hit by a former US president.
Gerald Ford.
One by Ford and two by Bush at the Bob Hope Classic golf tournament in February, except Fred Funk. President Ford said he had been stretched to the limit by the difficulty of the course, particularly the bit where he had to get the ball through the gnome's house and into the little windmill. Raoul, you're famous for are these Frank Zappa, Mr. Spock, Hergé, creator of Tintin, and Uranus.
How did you get that photograph? Oh, the planet, sorry.
Hergé is Belgium.
Well done. Yes, he is one of the.
Is that 1 point?
No. Sadly, it's not country of origin game.
Frank Zappa named one of his children Moon Unit.
Mm-hmm.
Right, now there must be there must be a space thing, mustn't there? It must be sort of.
Is Hergé the only one who drew a character who looks a bit like Ian? I mean that in the nicest possible way. Oh, I've let you down.
Snowy?
He's done Tintin, Prince Charles, King Somerville. No wonder Mike Yarwood can't get work.
I'll give you 1 point for saying lunar connections, which is the nearest that you got. It's that all of them have had heavenly bodies named after them, except the planet Uranus, or Uranus, as it now seems to be called. When we telephoned the BBC pronunciation unit, they denied there'd ever been a change in pronunciation, and said it had always been called Uranus. What a load of complete bollocks. Frank, your four disparate souls are Michael Howard, Michael Howard, Michael Howard, and Michael Howard.
Is this the new BT advert? And the caption should be, "Listen or next time he's naked." I say it's Michael Howard.
You're guessing now, obviously.
Is it anything to do with the fact that you need passport photos for ID cards, which is what Michael Howard's trying to get in?
It's nowhere near, sadly, Frank, but the reason is
one of them is a good Home Secretary. No, sorry, stupid answer.
No. It's a more legal question, actually. Shall I tell you?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. The odd one out is, thank you, surprisingly, Michael Howard, as all the others have been adjudged by the courts to have acted illegally. Last year, Michael Howard acted illegally by refusing to release new evidence that might have proved the innocence of the Bridgewater Four and several others. Only once in 4 instances did a judge come down in Michael Howard's favour over his assumed right to detain any foreigner in a detention centre indefinitely without charge. Still, at least it saves us finding a hotel room for Raoul tonight. Ian, your pick and mix consists of tickets for Oliver, tickets for Frankie Valli, 12 jars of honey and a blowpipe missile.
Well, this has got to be freebies, hasn't it? I think this is all things that MPs have declared in the register. This is a guess. But I would think that the MP who tables amendments on the honey and bees bill is probably bribed with 12 lots of honey.
Have you any idea who the people involved are, who the MPs are?
Is Wiggins bees? Because he's caravans and that sort of stuff. Is he bees?
Is
Bees,
Wiggins
caravans, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
West Country, a lot of bees, a lot of caravans.
Yeah. I can
A lot of
see
people
the
make a mistake. They have a 2-week holiday, go home. Oh look, we're towing a bee. Where's the caravan? Happens all the time down there.
It's easily done.
You a football fan at all?
I'm a very big football fan.
You watch the European?
Of course we
final?
won. Yeah, that's why I'm happy anyway.
Because I was watching it, Alan Parry. He must be about the worst football commentator there is, isn't he? I mean, he sort of he comes out with these things like he said the other night. The way he's controlling this ball, you'd think he had magnetic boots.
He has.
Yeah, but a ball's not made of iron, is it?
Of course, if Duncan Ferguson had magnetic boots, he might attract the ball in prison.
Duncan Ferguson has just been sentenced to jail, everyone. Just in case
I thought it was a topical news show. Oh, must have got the wrong door. It's a blind date. So, yes. Is it number 1 who thinks a sexy suit is more important than a fancy hairdo? Or number 2? The little Dutch boy who once put his finger in Greg Dyke. Oh, or is it number 3?
The answer is that they've all been declared by MPs as gifts on the register of members' interests, except for the blowpipe missile. David Miller has never received a blowpipe missile, much as we'd like to see it happen, although he does instead receive large amounts of money from the arms business. He enters this in the register of MPs' interests as high technology manufacturing. So if you see an entry marked high technology fiscal withdrawal, you'll know you've just taken part in an armed robbery. Which unsavoury revelations bring us bang to rights at the end of round 3, and it would appear that Paul and Raoul have a virtually lifeless 6, while Ian and Frank enjoy a vibrant 12. And so, in honour of Mr. and Mrs. Whitehead's prison sentences, we return to the law courts for our final missing words round. Yet again, it's our going down version, as we ask the panellists to fill in the blanks in the judge's verdict. Man who stole a British Rail egg sandwich ordered to what?
Eat it?
Undergo psychotherapy.
Produce the evidence. 15 years. The rope.
No, undergo therapy was the nearest. See a psychiatrist is a not unreasonable answer. Next, 18 months detention for holding up an off licence with what?
Crowbar. Is it B?
George Best?
With B?
Yeah, with B. B-double-E. B.
I'll give you one, it's rat, actually. Next, man fined just 50p for his fine of 101st drunken conviction after court heard what?
He'd only got 50p.
It was that after court heard he was celebrating his 500th drunken conviction?
It's absurd answer and completely correct. Well done. Next, £10 for what dressed as chicken?
For a man who went to House of Commons fancy dress ball dressed as a chicken. He won first prize.
Is the wrong answer.
Fancy dress, though, isn't it?
It is.
Is it Moroccan schoolboy?
Are you answering the same question?
I think so.
Running on stage during a performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream is what you were about to say, obviously.
How on earth is anyone in this studio or this country meant to get these answers right? What sort of quiz is this?
Well,
it's like saying, right, what's the answer? No question, what's the answer?
That's fair.
And we sit here going, Gibraltar, whiskey, mustard.
Well, can I take it from this that we're winning at the moment?
Oh, absolutely.
How did you get celebrating his 500th conviction then?
I remembered it.
Well, that's what we were hoping you'd do with this one. Which you obviously didn't. And finally, libel victor settlement includes right to what journalist?
Murder? Has that been introduced? Well, I can't do questions about libel victors, since I've never won one.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, but I very nearly did last week. The judge threw the case out and told us both to go away and pay our own costs. And we called that a win. Thank you.
You may never have won a libel case, but you certainly know what a libel victor looks like.
Big fat eyebrows, 2 sons. Ooh.
I don't
You can edit that, love.
Edit that, love? Who's this now, Lionel Blair? You can edit that, love.
Pelt custard pies at journalist was, in fact, the answer.
Well, I'll have that rather than £600,000 any day.
Which judicial mayhem brings the contest to an end, and the final sentence is as follows. This week's Dutch elms are Paul and Raoul with 10, whilst this week's English oaks are Ian and Frank with 17. The chance to have a hot date with Richard Gere to our winners, the chance to discuss the cost of living with his chiropodist to our losers. And I leave you with news that the 35th Mounted Gurkhas have arrived in Britain to give a useful demonstration of table napkin folding techniques. Cricket, and England manager Ray Illingworth's new regime of exercise and cold showers begins a little sooner than Mike Atherton had anticipated. And once again, John Major finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time.